This is
Great.
Ammersy Lakes.
Name that. What's the name of that place, Clint?
It's Ammersy Lakes. It's a gated community.
Yo, you were telling me about that down there.
Yeah.
You guys down there fishing today?
Yeah. Well, I just had a meeting close and came by here I hadn't been here 10 minutes.
Oh, I got you. All right, guys. Welcome to the live stream for YouTube today. For a minute, we've got Clint from Sugarhill Outdoors. Clint, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Stop moving so much.
All right. Yeah. Let me get seated right here.
Some feedback on that audio. It's a little bit loud. I'm not sure what it is. There you go. That's much better. I think it was your feet. Audio is funny on these things. It's crazy what comes through. All right, guys. So if you've been following the page for any amount of time, the last 2 years we've been managing a pond called Sugarhill Outdoors Pond, and Clint Tucker is the owner of that pond. Joins us today, and just wanted to take a time with him and talk to him about how that process has gone. And glad to have you on, Clint. I've been meaning to do this for a really long time, and I'm glad we finally made a few minutes to do that today.
No doubt, man. I appreciate it, and I am so thankful that I was recommended to you guys because you have truly helping me make my dream come true out there.
Yeah, it's this part of the job is always a very rewarding process. It's unfortunate that there's not more pond owners like you that are dedicated to doing whatever it takes to manage fisheries.
Right.
Before we fall down that rabbit hole, I think I've got some notes here. Yeah. Let's start with what you actually do at Sugarhill.
Okay. So you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
So I went to UGA, Go Dogs, for landscape architecture, and I've had Sugarhill Outdoors for 27 years now. So we do hardscape and landscape, outdoor construction. We're a licensed general contractor, just focus on outdoor living.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I've seen some of your work. You do beautiful work on all the hardscape stuff.
Appreciate it.
Why did you build the pond at the shop?
Well, the main reason was for irrigation for our tree farm, but another reason, and you and I talked about it at the very beginning, was I've fished so many ponds where you just catch dink after dink after dink, and the only way to solve it is taking out little fish, and some of them are just past the point where you can do that because there's so many small bass. And so I figured, you know what, if I'm going to make this irrigation pond, I'm going to get the best advice I can to make, double digit bass.
Yeah.
And you said, your calculations, you say, hey, if we put in this many bass, we'll get them to 10 pounds, or we can have a whole bunch of 5 or 6 pound bass in there. And, I want to catch a double digit because I've been shooting for that for 30 years and still haven't got there yet.
Right. Well, that brings us to the actual kind of meat and potatoes of the pond and how we did that. We initially started out, we stocked the bluegill and some red ear and some grass carp. Grass carp are really important for keeping the irrigation system from getting clogged up with weeds, because we really can't use herbicides in the water. We don't want to irrigate herbicide onto your plants. So we can get away with using a little bit of algicide in there, but the herbicides are a big no-no in there. So I went a little heavy on the grass carp at about 15 per acre. We initially were kind of in a hurry, wanted to get the pond going and put some F1 bass in there to start the whole bass process out about 6 months after we stocked the bluegill, but they didn't survive. We didn't get the survival on that. And we still don't know what happened to that. I don't know if I messed that up, if I had a contaminant in the truck, if I had chlorine or something that had done that. I actually had the same problem on another pond, so I don't know if maybe it was a problem with the fish that season.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
had seen in the pond, one of the pond groups, that another gentleman near us had the same issue with his
Mhm.
F1 stocked in the same month. So it might have
That's
just been from the
interesting,
fisheries.
isn't it? Yeah, it was very
Hmm.
strange because that's never happened to me before. But um, what's that saying where you have lemons and you make lemonade?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that really turned into lemonade for us because at that point, then we were able to get hooked up with the Titan Bass Hatchery, and we talked. That opened up a lot of different genetic options for our bass that I never had access to before. Those guys have an amazing fish hatchery down there, and it's really like Dr. Evil's Bass Laboratory, man.
Yeah.
If you ever go down to Thomasville with me, we'll have to go over there and
I
check it
love
out.
it.
It is
Well,
crazy.
and on top of that, man, the bluegill had a full year to just spawn and grow and feed, and no competition other than some those catfish that we're trying to get out of there now.
Right, right. We did have a few catfish wash in from upstream, but like that's a great point because that is the way I really like to set the bluegill population up anyway. If I do
Hmm.
it, my definition of perfect is set the bluegill 1 year, let them go the whole season, spawn in there, feed them, and then put your bass in.
Yeah.
Yes, ended up exactly what we did.
Yeah.
And so ours project is a total unicorn for me in that we have northern bass and Florida bass stocked and tagged so we can tell them apart in the same pond, tracking the growth between the original stocking. But then when those fish, some of those fish will spawn with, some Floridas will spawn with Florida, some northerns with northerns, but some of those fish will cross with each other. And that's where you create an F1 bass. And an F1 bass than a Florida or.
I
So,
lost you there for a second.
is it going in and out?
There we go. No, I got it, man. Sorry. You
We've
good?
always working out connection issues and stuff. So anyway, we got a question coming in from. It's just Frank coming in with his jokes again. I thought we had a question. So anyway, we've had a couple seasons of spawns, and we should have a few F1s drifting around in there reproduction wise. And I'll be real interested to have Garrett come in and do. Lost Clint again.
There we go. Sorry, man. I couldn't see myself, so I thought I was
Oh, it's
off the
okay.
screen.
It happens, man. That's the part. All this is working out technical difficulties half the time.
Yeah.
That's it's no big deal. But no, I was going to touch on having Garrett coming in and doing the electrofishing survey. I'm really looking forward to that.
That's gonna be crazy, man. But like you were talking about when we put the bass in first, you asked if I had seen any action from them, and I didn't know what to look for, and so I said no. Well, when we put the second stocking of the bass a year later, I mean, when you say action and them attacking the bluegill, it's pretty amazing. I just like to throw food and watch them blow these bluegill up.
Yeah,
Now I know what to look for.
I think that's the greatest gift that we've been able to give with this project is to give people the gift of this is what it looks like to actually
Right.
do. We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. Frank's hurt Frank's feelings. My bad, Frank. Sorry. We're not talking about it from what we think is going to happen. We stocked it and we're measuring the results of
Correct.
what's actually happening. Sorry about that, Frank.
Sorry, Frank.
Frank's always here, man. Frank is the comic relief in the comment section. He's one of the usual suspects. But going on a strange time on right now. We've only got 3 folks, but the good news is it's recorded, so people can come back and watch. You caught a 4-pounder the other day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I was hoping just to catch a 3-pounder, and so a 3-pounder, and I was super excited about that. And I think I sent you pictures right away. And then not 10 or 15 casts later, caught the one that was 4 pounds, almost in the same location.
Mm-hmm.
And that blew me away. I was not expecting that at all.
That's great growth.
Yeah.
For a northern fish, 2 pounds a season is really piling on, and it gives me a lot of confidence that we're on the right track to achieve your goal of that 10-pound fish.
Right. I'm thinking even sooner than we talked about.
Yeah, they're coming on strong, and as these fish, one thing that I'm noticing that's different, like say we had the F1 ponds versus what we've got now. I
Mm-hmm.
actually think we have a better chance of breaking 10 pounds now, because what happens on with the F1s when you stock them, they all generally grow really similar. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'll see them go to like 14 and 3/4, 15, 15 and a quarter, some of them even 15 and a half inches in a year, and like 2.5 pounds in a year.
Right.
Where we got 2 pounds, you'll get that extra half a pound out of the F1s. You know what I mean?
Right. And
Um,
that 2-pounder, that first 2-pounder we caught was only 13 inches long. So that was pretty amazing too. It was a little football.
yeah, we're really seeing, like, it's not as good as the F1 on our northerns, but we're still really comparable growth rates. Now the Floridas for where we're at aren't growing as well,
Right.
but I kind of knew that was going to happen. I've seen that happen before. I've been stocking fish so long, but I'm glad we were able to document that and get that out there and get that just actual fact out into the world so guys can get that in their head and be talking about actual facts,
Right.
and not be
Yeah,
talking about what
there.
we think is going to happen.
Right. The being able to scan the northerns and know if it was a northern or Florida, the northerns were way more aggressive. Um, and we caught 10 to 1 northerns to Florida bass. Um, so I think, like you said, the Floridas are going to get big, but it's going to be hard to catch them.
Right. We might. It depends on what we get up in the shock survey. But if some of those Floridas are say under 2 pounds, and we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing good recruitment, we're seeing good reproduction, we might be removing some of those Floridas. Just take a
Yeah.
dozen or so out, and make some space for our young fish coming in. We're not here, like I said, we're not in the business of growing a lot of fish. We're in the business of growing big fish. So
Right.
it's get growing or get out. That's how
That's
it
right.
works in trophy pond bass management.
Yeah. Well, you know me. If you say take them out, we'll be putting them in the upper pond.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think we have any problems at all right now, man.
No.
Kind of on autopilot mode. We'll keep the feeder going and just kind of stay the course right now. There's usually nothing to do but what we've been doing. It's not too hard when you do it right.
Right. Yeah. It's it's been a blast, man. And I, like I said, I'm grateful that you were able to help and we're so close. A lot of these guys that you see on some of these groups, there's nobody in their area that can help them, at least for free or giving advice that somebody wants to charge them an arm and a leg for.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big part of why I did the page to start off with, because there's a big group of guys out there that really can't afford this kind of work. This stuff can get expensive.
Right. Oh yeah.
And but it's definitely the kind of work that if you've seen it done, um, you can do it yourself. We can definitely
Right.
you can help guys out. And I noticed you go on the Facebook groups a lot, and you're in there helping guys with your experience and talking with guys. And I know they certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, and all I can do is tell them exactly what's happening at ours and how we did it, and the proof is there. You don't have to
Yeah.
take my opinion, but it's not an opinion really. It's fact. What I'm trying to help guys like me out that and always referring you because you're so much more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am. But I've learned so much from this process and it's making me a better fisherman, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, man. I think it does make you a better fisherman in ways. Just learning the biology of the fish. You see things from certainly a different perspective after this process is over with.
Yeah.
But I know you're a busy man, Clint, and I don't want to keep you all afternoon. I just wanted to go on and document this and get on with everyone. We're going to do this a few more times this season and go live from the pond next time. I'll be up there in about a week. I've got some buddies coming in to do some turkey hunting, and we're going to try to get at Osceola for those boys. And then I'll be up there for for the March visit.
Yeah, I've got a few trips planned myself, but you know the code. Just come on if I'm not there.
Right on, man.
I appreciate everything you've done, man. Thank you for so much.
No, thank you, Clint. I mean, what you've provided for everyone here. One thing I can't add, this process is on the playlist here on YouTube. So the difference between, you can go on and talk on your Facebook page of these guys, but we actually have the videos to back it up.
Yeah.
We recorded it. So to me, and that's how I learn. So I know that's how most guys are going to learn when you got your hands on it, when you watch a guy do it, you know what I mean? And you've provided that, you've been so generous. Just give me the, time to make the videos that I needed to do and actually listen to me. You deserve as much credit for everything that's happened here as I do, my friend. And I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, man. Well, let's keep it going.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I'll see you next week.
All right, man. Thanks. See you.
See you later.
Bye.
Oh, got it. Anthony's coming through. I'll stay on and answer Anthony's question here. Does it ever make sense to stock shiners or fatheads during the initial pond stocking to help keep the heat off smaller bluegill while the bass are small, or internet misinformation? Okay. So as all things internet, Anthony, there's half truths in all of it. I'm not a big advocate of stocking shiners. I've never seen really great results with them. They've been either naturally occurring, like down at Mickey's place at the Wilson Farm Ponds, they naturally occur in those watersheds. So we have them. There's been great fishing in those ponds. When they were drained and restocked, the fishing was great and the shiners were in there, and the shiners are still in there, and the crappie have stunted twice now. I've watched that in my lifetime. I've watched the same ponds get stunted with crappie over there on the Wilson farm with golden shiners in it. I guess the moral of the story is the golden shiners won't save the balance of the population if it gets out of whack. They're not a magic fish or anything that are going to make your bass grow any better. And if I had my choice, I don't even spend the money on them. I just stock my bluegill and put the money that I would have spent on the shiners into the higher protein bluegill feed, because that really kind of runs up some money. So if I'm budgeting, if I'm looking at a pond budget, if I'm like listing it out, and I would just line item the shiner money right down into feed money. Now, as far as your fatheads, actually, technically, fatheads do have some use and it is very, very similar as far as what you just described right there. We'll put fathead minnows in a new pond stocking. Now, I did not do it at Clint's pond. I don't think I usually don't. You don't have to. It's just another sales thing, really. But if you put the fathead minnows in, this is what they're for. Brand new pond, let's stock the bluegill, right? Like we just mentioned in the live stream. And then we can put fathead minnows in right then. And then when we put fingerling bass in the next spring, there'll be a point in time when the bass is like that big, where that fathead minnow is a really good forage for it. And they'll feed on those fathead minnows, take advantage of them, like when they're in that 4-inch range or whatever. Wipe them completely out, because fathead minnows cannot swim fast, right? And then we're done with fathead minnows because our bass have grown and they've transitioned to larger forage, right? We don't want an 8-pound bass eating fathead minnows. That's like running a marathon to eat an M&M. You're moving too much equipment for too few calories, right? You can't work. It doesn't work that way. So the supplemental stocking of the fathead minnows after the initial stocking is what I don't do ever. There's no point in that. Again, any money you're putting in fish and forage fish, any money you're putting in crawfish, any money you're putting into any of those things, I don't spend that money. That money goes into the feeder. That money goes into feeding my bluegill. That means my bluegill are 50, 60, 70% heavier than they should be. And when my bass are eating them, they're getting 2-for-1 meal deals. That's how I do it cost effectively. I manage the pond like it's my money. Like, how do we do this as cheaply as possible? Now, if you want to spend more money, okay, that's fine. That's your money, right? If you want to go stock fathead minnows every single season, okay, I'll sell them to you. But I'm going to tell you, you're just feeding a 4 or 5 to 6 inch bass is going to be consumed by another bass. You're not aiding in the food chain at all by spending your money in this manner. Generally, I can take people away from wasting their money. I would consider stocking fathead minnows in a pond for bass growth a complete waste of money, right? I would consider stocking fathead minnows in a brand new pond that you're going to be stocking some bass fry into, and what I just described, a very wise use of money for fathead minnows. So it depends on the context, right? I hope that answers that question, Anthony. That's a good one, though. That's a good one. All right, boys. Just wanted to get Clint on, and when he had a day to do it, and I don't want this live to run real long because a lot of the other ones have run in a couple of hours. So this is a short experimental live to just introduce Clint to everyone and just see how a shorter live goes. And for the three of you there, Frank is there. Thanks, Just Frank, man. Love you, brother. And Anthony, good questions as always. And whoever your third viewer is there, I appreciate you too, my friend. I really do. Got a lot of cool folks lined up to do this with too. So should be an entertaining not podcast or whatever this is. Thanks, boys. See you next time.